If you are invested in the lore of S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, there is a good chance you asked yourself this question before. When does the story of the game take place? Indeed, Heart of Chernobyl does not provide any precise answer, unlike the games from the original S.T.A.L.K.E.R trilogy that had a date tracker built in the PDA. This is how we know that Clear Sky starts on September 10th, 2011, Shadow of Chernobyl begins on May 1st, 2012, and Call of Pripyat commences on August 3rd, 2012. So what about S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2? In this video, I will discuss all the clues I managed to gather on the possible time frame during which the story takes place. Our first pieces of information come from the introduction of the game itself. In Skif's apartment, we can see that the calendar is set to the year 2021. After the anomaly destroys his apartment, Skif enters the zone, and while we don't know how much time has passed between these two events, the very first PDA entry, titled Skif's Diary, is still dated 2021. Quote, "Out of the frying pan and into the fire. I returned after 3 years of service in real hell to cool off, quietly trading dummies, the cheapest artifacts, burnt out after being taken out of the zone by some lucky stalkers, drinking in my smoke-filled apartment and staring at the TV as if it were a window. And everything seemed to be going according to plan until my flat got blown to smithereens one night. An anomaly. Right in my kitchen. It wrecked the little I had and left behind another dummy, and if a certain Herman is to be believed, special money if I managed to recharge it with his scientific gadget. The catch is, I'll have to venture into the zone to do it. I've heard enough stories to avoid the zone at all costs, but it decided to reach out to me. Well, it's time to pay a visit. Could it get any worse? As my demoted commander said, if you're born to hang, you'll never drown." This entry makes it pretty clear that all these events happened in the year 2021, so we can be pretty confident in the fact that Heart of Chernobyl starts during that year. Besides, this coincides with the S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 ARG that occurred in 2020 and 2021, the circumstances of which taking place shortly before the story of the game begins. As a side note, I think it is extremely unlikely that Skif's journey into the zone extended into the year 2022, seeing that the seasons don't change during the game. If enough time was to pass for 2022 to begin, winter should have fell onto the zone at some point, which did not happen. I believe it is safe to say that the entire game takes place in 2021. Now, if we search even deeper, it is possible to find some PDA entries with interesting dates. Let me show them to you in chronological order. Firstly, we have the chat logs between Roosevelt, the leader of the commissary, and Borodulin, one of his men and so-called duty colonel. The two had an argument because of Borodulin's alcohol addiction, resulting in the colonel leaving the commissary. This conversation spanned from March 20 to April 4 and can be found on Borodulin's PDA. In the game, we can meet both Roosevelt and Borodulin in Garbage, and their fight had already occurred, seeing that the latter is hanging alone and drinking his sorrows. Next up is a note from Mikolayev's field diary about an experiment with the Mama's Beads artifact. According to the dates, testing of the object's healing properties took place between March 27 and April 17. Since the note can be found in the doctor's office as soon as Skif reaches Zalissya, it must have been written prior to the events of the game. Then we've got the observations of a zombified partner, a note from Goodwin's PDA, dated from July 16 and 17. Goodwin's friend Foster was partially zombified after traversing a psi field, so Goodwin kept him in a cage while searching for a solution to cure him. However, the Freedomer somehow died, leaving the poor zombie alone in the tunnel. The aftermath of this situation can be discovered by Skif in the underground of Rozsoka station. Moving on, let's check out Nehoda's PDA from the science bunker, found during the introduction section of the game. In a memo dated July 25, the expedition leader ordered one of his subordinates, Voloshin, to stay away from a certain cave and remain inside the bunker. Of course, Voloshin did not listen, and his fresh dead body can be found in the cave at the second scanning point. This seems like a pretty solid evidence that Skif entered the zone shortly after July 25, that is, during the summer season. But that is not all, for I have two more PDA entries with interesting dates in them. Both stem from Viktoria Dorozhnyuk's quest to find her missing stalkers, Lefty on one side and Blizzard on the other. According to the information on Lefty's PDA, he was tasked to measure the Psi radiation from Yantar on August 7, and sent out an SOS on the very next day. When Skif gets there, Lefty was unfortunately already turned into a zombie, along with the rest of his crew, and it should be mentioned that he can be found even before talking to Dorozhnyuk. As for Blizzard, his PDA indicates that he was sent to collect bone samples from bloodsucker victims on August 12, and by the 15th he had decided he would go alone. After that, Skif can find him and rescue him from a bloodsucker. Since Viktoria will ask Skif to search for Lefty and Blizzard as soon as he reaches Malachite, we can conclude that our protagonist first visited the Science Center shortly after the middle of the month of August. This would make sense if we consider the previous entry about Voloshin, that points towards Skif stepping into the zone in late July. Alright, so by combining all this data, we can figure out that Skif's first day into the zone occurred sometime between July 25 and August 15, 2021. This seems to be in line with the state of the zone and its vegetation, the aesthetics of which could very well fit the summer season. But what about the sun's trajectory and the duration of the day? Using August 1st as a reference, I calculated that the real-life sun should rise on the zone at around 5:24 am, 120 degrees east, and should set at around 8:47 pm, 120 degrees west. This is not exactly what happens in-game though. According to my observations, dawn breaks at around 5:20 am, 85 degrees east, and dusk falls at around 8:45 pm, 85 degrees west. So the timings are actually pretty accurate, but not the azimuth where the sun rises and sets. This means that the duration of the day is indeed correct, but the sun trajectory is not. However, it should be mentioned that such details are almost never accounted for in video games, and I have personally never seen an open-world game where the behavior of the sun is properly calculated for every day that passes. I just thought it would be interesting to check out how it is in S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, and if we only take into account the duration of the day, then the fact that the game takes place during the summer is pretty much confirmed. Anyway, there you have it. My answer to the question, when does the game take place, is that it begins sometime between July 25 and August 15, 2021, and the story spans no further than the end of that year. Yet, it is possible I missed some information, or forgot to take into account some details, so feel free to tell me what you could find in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and good hunting, stalkers.